Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Drax Night Out, brought to us by Microsmiths Inc. and Parker Brothers. Drax Night Out is one of the unfortunately unreleased games to be made for the NES. There was no official release, but prototypes of the game were found years later. So I'm sure some of the problems that we will encounter throughout the game is mainly due to the fact that the game was never actually finished. One of the more interesting things though about the game, it was actually made to coincide with a sponsorship for Reebok pumps, which the Reebok pumps appear in the game and are actually a power-up which is very useful to use. In Drax Night Out, we play as Drac, or Dracula, as he must travel down his tower avoiding villagers that are trying to kill him, make it into the town, avoiding more villagers, and to find his beloved Mina. So here we go with Drax Night Out for the NES. After reading the introduction to the game, you find out that there's a time limit in the game. There's a clock that you can check at any time by pausing the game, and if you're not able to complete a certain level by 6 AM, you end up having to restart. Each of the castle sequences are broken up into many different floors and sometimes many different towers. Your goal is to work your way all the way down to the bottom so that you can exit your castle in order to get to the town. I start off here by working my way down, confusing one of the villagers and grabbing the Reebok pumps. These allow you to run extremely fast as well as jump extremely high. This will allow us to manipulate the game as well as avoid a lot of the villagers. Some of the very cool things though about this game is there's lots of different traps you can use in order to trap villagers and take them out. If you hurt a villager, they end up going down to one knee, and in this position you can walk over to them and actually drink their blood, which will power you up as well as keep you alive. Unfortunately, the Reebok pumps don't last forever, and eventually they will run out on us. The goal really though, once you get them, is just to go down as many floors as possible before they end up running out. Once the Reebok pumps though run out, we're moving a lot slower now, and we actually have to be a lot more careful when moving around. You can bring out a medal or some kind of pocket watch, wave it in front of villagers, and they'll be stunned for a few seconds. This will allow you to get by them in order to actually avoid getting hit by them. In this area, we avoid the rock by moving down the one side of the ladder, opening up the switch on the far right which opens up the front door, climb back up, confusing the villager again, and eventually down the stairs one more time and outside, as we now see Drac as he heads in his carriage to the village. The village itself is a whole different type of gameplay. You have a big town map that you must explore, and it's very big to explore all of it. Our goal here though is just to find Mina. Now Mina's location will change every time you play the game and every level of the game. You have to avoid all the random villagers throughout the game, especially the angry mobs or the town guardians. That 3-pack of town guardians will come towards you, and if they hit you, you'll end up getting hurt. You won't lose a life, but you'll end up losing some of your health every time you get hit. Talking to merchants throughout this area will sometimes net you maps as well as hints. Inside the houses there's a few different things to pick up. Sometimes there's maidens inside which you can suck their blood, in which case they will come back alive, and then they will actually start moving towards the direction that Mina's in. Also, there's sometimes old guys inside the houses which we saw earlier who will point something out important on your map if you have one. Some of the houses also contain different trapdoors that you can go down in order to travel to different parts of the village. Using those trapdoors along with a maiden is actually one of the best ways in order to find your way closer to Mina. The normal villagers though, you can move close to them and suck their blood, in which case they will drop different items. We need all these different items in order to advance. Sometimes they will drop magic lamps, which will allow you to enter one of those trap doors that I mentioned earlier. Sometimes they will drop keys, as well as they will also sometimes drop flowers or clovers. Those can be used in order to open up gates. The keys cannot open up gates. The keys are what we use in order to enter the different houses throughout the village. At first, this whole village area of the game is extremely annoying and will take you a while to get used to it. However, once you're able to find Mina once, you should have an easier time locating her on your second or third time through the village. While the castles may change, the actual village areas do not. After you suck enough blood from villagers, as well as if you had sucked enough blood from the villagers inside the castle, you do a transformation. Inside the castle, you're turned into a bat, which will allow you to greatly fly down fast and avoid many floors at one time, while inside the village, you'll turn into a dog or cat, which will allow you to bypass all the angry villagers, as well as move a little bit quicker. There's plenty of times where you're going to find yourself trapped in an area and not be able to go where you want to. If you're completely trapped and you can't figure out, you may want to search all the houses to find a trap door to get you into the next area that you want to. Once the clock strikes down to a different hour, you will be told that you've reached another hour, so you know how many hours you have left in order to complete the area. Over here, I'm finally able to locate Mina for the first time. They'll tell you congratulations, and you'll get a nice picture of Drac and Mina together, and then you'll get a status screen afterwards. At the status screen, it'll tell you your score, how long it took you to finish, your blood count, as well as how many of the villagers you had killed. That completes round 1, and it's time to move on to round number 2. There is a total of 5 different rounds in the game. Like I said before, the towers that you're going to travel through are completely different and get more difficult each time you go to a new one. However, the village will remain the same. One of the real keys though in this game for definitely getting better is memorizing the movements of the villagers, as well as getting to know your traps and how they work. For example, on these staircases, it really took me a while to memorize and learn exactly where the villager can be and where I can be, so I can sneak past them and still get down the stairs without them running into me. Also, getting a hold of those Reebok pumps is also pretty much essential in order to help you speed through a lot of floors very quickly. Starting in this tower is the first one that also has an extra tower with it. You have a full tower here, the green tower, and you have a different colored purple one that's next to this one by opening this door and going through. This one has the same amount of floors, but at the end you can only exit out of the correct one. For this one, we're going to have to exit out of the green one, but in later ones we may have to enter out of the center one, or we may have to enter to a third one, which is all the way on the right side of the castle. I really do feel that this game had gotten enough polish to it and a little bit more development time. It could have actually been a really fun game, because doing the traps and other things kind of reminds me of later games such as Tecmo's Deception series. When we reach the bottom floor, we exit to the left, and it's time to jump in our carriage and head back to the village.
Like I said though, the village is completely random every time you come here. The village layout is the same, but where Mina is gonna be is completely random. So sometimes it only takes a few minutes to beat the village, and other times it may take an hour or so to beat the village. One of my real keys to helping me get through these village parts faster is finding the first house I can that has a victim girl inside, that when I bite her, she'll help me out by putting me in the right direction. Now it's going to take several of these victims in order to get an idea of where Mina is located, but it definitely helps you out and gives you a good start. By far one of the most annoying things in the game is when you finally do have a general idea of where Mina is located in the village, and then you accidentally don't have any clovers or keys in order to enter the buildings or get past the gates that you need to in order to get to her area, and then you end up spending like 20-30 minutes walking around the village trying to find the right door and right area to get to where she is without actually having to use a gate. And while these victims are a great help giving you a location or a general location of where Mina is, just by them pointing though isn't really the best option sometimes, because even though they're just pointing to the right, it may be way over to the right before you're actually able to get to the area where Mina is located. If you do run into the mobs or other people that can hurt you in the game, you just lose some of your blood meters. So unless your blood meter is completely out, you won't actually die and have to restart. Sometimes it's best just to run into the villagers to get them to go away and disappear off screen so that you can continue in the area that you want to, instead of trying to run and hide from each of the groups. Because sometimes these groups can be very persistent and be on you so long that it's not worth the extra time it's going to take, and it may just be worth it to lose a little bit of your blood meter. Our victim points us in the right direction, and we're actually able to find Mina relatively easy the second time around. So begins round 3, and we can start in our new castle. This time, we start off in a pink area. This tower has 3 different colored areas to go through as we work our way around. As you can see, when I entered that door, it was a false door that ended up making me immediately fall and ended up losing some health. Now the pink entranceway that we were in first, that's where the exit is located, but we're going to have to travel through the other towers a lot in order to work our way down far enough so we can actually get to the exit. One problem though with the Reebok Pump shoes is that jumping can be a little bit tricky because of how far you jump. Right here is a good spot though to build up your blood count, as you're actually be able to get a few of those villagers to come up the stairs with the Reebok pumps and just jump on them, stunning them, allowing you to suck their blood out. Open up the switch and move back to the second area of the tower. We're going to immediately be going right back to the purple area, so go all the way to the left, open up the other hatch and go through. Right in here though is another switch, but you can also grab the Reebok pumps here. With the pumps in hand, try to do your best to try to get down a few floors while you're moving this fast.